guess if you go back far enough, it probably started at the SFU pub.
That's true.
And then he left to go to a mid-sized firm, and 6 months later they convinced me to follow him. And then after about 3 years, he walked in one day and said, "I'm out of here." And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, well, if you're out of here, I'm out of here." And then he said, "Well, what are we going to do?" And that's how it started.
Using my name didn't seem to make a lot of sense, and Bill has a very professional sounding name, whereas I sound like a rock band.
And then we were doing okay. A bunch of clients had come with us, right? And just as a sidelight, a number of those clients 40 years later are still with us, so that's quite amazing. I had a buddy at Thorne Riddell, as it was called in the day, a guy named Len Peterson. Len was just a fun-loving guy, and Len joined the firm. Len could go down and plug a quarter in a parking meter and come back with a client, right? So he was that kind of guy. We had a very large audit, and it was hilarious because Bill and I would Len would go down and work on this job. And then we ended up getting a very good manager, and she took over the job, and she was doing a great job with it. And then she decided to leave, and we're all looking at each other going, what are we going to do? And Len says, well, I know a guy. So that's where I think that's how Grant came in, right?
He was,
yeah. And he ran that job. And
it was quite interesting. He was always a person that, well, I'll get that done. I will do that. And so he became important to us almost immediately.
I was hired. I had another good friend, George Gillis, was working for Davidson Company at the time for Len Peterson, and he convinced Len Peterson and Bill McCartney that they needed to hire me. So I come over here and started working. That's when they were just starting out, and there was, I think, staff of 7 at that time or something, total people. But four of which were partners.
Our very first computer, we bought it, and it sat on Bill's desk for about 6 months before we turned it on, because none of us knew how to use it. And then we kind of learned it ourselves, and it was hilarious. And then our first fax machine.
oh yeah,
We plugged it in, we turned it on, and we're going, well, I wonder when we'll get something. And bang, the thing goes off, and in comes a lawsuit right over the fax machine.
When I first started here at Davidson Company, I was a co-op student in 2002, and I was new to the world of accounting and the job. Didn't know what was expected of me, and I didn't know what to expect, but I knew on my first interview and the first day that I walked into the firm that I felt welcomed and that I felt like I could be myself.
I just want to be able to carry the torch the way it was handed to us. We want to grow, and we want to pass on the firm to the next great generation of leaders.
I'm very proud of what Bill and Grant and the other partners have accomplished here. It's always nice because when people ask me about my history and I say, well, you know, I used to be a partner at Davidson Company, most people know what that is, and that's good. That's great.